Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the Stratosphere Lounge. I'm your host, Bill Whittle, and this is a historic event. Not that show number 142 has anything unusual about it, but it's a special day. It's a special day in the neighborhood. And the reason it's a special day in the neighborhood is because every single Stratosphere Lounge that we've done, in fact, every single video I think that I've done, was under Barack Obama as President of the United States. And this will be the last time that I'm going to be broadcasting the Stratosphere Lounge with Donald Trump as, with Barack Obama as President of the United States. And I have to tell you, it feels really good. I like to think that I forced him out of office. You know, I really do. I like to think that eventually the comments and the criticisms that were coming to him from Firewall and from Right Angle was just too much for the man, and he just decided he had to pack it up and go home, and he's going to be leaving on Friday. In any event, it is remarkable, and we don't know, we can't even tell how long this shadow is, and we don't even really know the outlines of the shadow of Barack Obama's years in office until we see how much the economy grows. But I suspect, as I've said before, that we are all of a sudden going to see this enormous economic growth. I think everything's going to get much, much better, and the better it gets, the more stark is his outline in terms of him being gone. So that's awfully, awfully cool. Some more cool news is we've got Cheryl Toomey has set up a Stratosphere Lounge Facebook page, and those of you who are watching live can get that link from her, and if you're not, I'm sure she'll post it somewhere. That's going to be kind of fun. But the main thing is actually, and by the way, everybody's saying hi tonight, and thank you. It's very nice to be here. It's good to see you all, especially under these auspicious circumstances. But the one thing that's generating all the excitement around here, certainly for me and for everybody else, is BWL. It's Bill Whittle Live, and it's going to be on Friday. I'm not exactly sure of the time. I want to make sure I'm clear of the inauguration. But it will be following this Friday. It will be Monday through Friday from about 11 to 11:30, 11:45, something like that. And I'm just so jazzed about it. Now, this is something that only Stratosphere Loungers, Strata Loungers will really fully appreciate, because if you're relatively new to the Stratosphere Lounge, well, first of all, welcome. But secondly, you don't understand enough of my track record here to really appreciate this. So, needless to say, I have a lot of things I want to do with the set. And why don't I tell you just a little bit about them? So that's the wall that used to have the gigantic Stratosphere Lounge banner on it. It's now got a 72-inch 4K television, which is going to be part of the backdrop for what we do. We're going to put a new desk in there, and despite the fact that I've got those very cool Captain Kirk chairs, we're gonna put a different chair in there and light it, and we're gonna keep it dark, and our colors are gonna be black and electric blue. But anyway, oh, and by the way, we've got this really cool kind of a raised wallpaper that's gonna take that wall to black. That white wall now is gonna be black. It's gonna be wicked cool. And here's the part for the Strata Loungers. So I was thinking, oh man, maybe I should make an announcement, or should just try to get the thing ready in time. It's like, no, I don't think so. We're not going to be doing this show in Bill time. That's the payoff for our long-term listeners who know what that means. It's not going to happen in Bill time. It's going to happen on Friday, and it's going to keep happening. So this one is going to happen on real time, and since it's going to happen on real time, I don't know for a certain fact, but I'm quite sure, nearly sure, that the set will consist of a bunch of boxes and packing crates and cables hanging off of TV sets. And we'll get to watch it come together as kind of as a family, the way we got started doing this. So I'm just really, really, really jazzed about it. One nice thing is I just really like the graphics look. I've been doing Firewall, which is really a red-orange kind of a show, and the new We the People V2.0s are black and white, and so are right angles to the degree that they have not much graphics in that. But this stuff just lets me do just really cool stuff. And I gave it some serious thought because to be perfectly honest with you, the kind of graphics that I want to have, cobalt blue, yeah, that'll do, David. The kind of graphics that I want to have in here will probably reduce my influence significantly because it's just going to clue everybody into, into Nerd Central USA. They're just going to realize, my God, what is it with this guy? But, here's the office. It's a glowy office. So it's going to be a glowy set. It's going to be a relatively dark set with little pools of light. And I know just the person helped me light it. And we'll just get it better and better looking every day. So somebody has said, Dave Big Booty is not somebody, it's Dave Big Booty, said, will I be live streaming the inauguration? I don't know exactly yet. I may be doing commentary on it in real time. I'm not exactly sure. But in any event, it is going to be 5 days a week for at least half an hour, 45 minutes a day, Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock Pacific time. It's 2 o'clock Eastern, and I'm really excited about it. I think I'm on my third week, beginning of the third week with NRA. The NRA shows I do in the morning for 10 minutes, and that was the second best decision I've made in a long, long time, doing that NRA show. Not just because it's fun. I really am having a lot of fun with Grant Stitchfield. I'm really starting to feel like, like we're getting to be buddies on the air. We're getting to really start to get a little rhythm here. But the main reason I feel so good about it was a commitment to be in this chair every day at 9:15 Eastern time, which I know is not very early for many of you, but usually I'm up in the studio editing until 1 or 2 in the morning, although it's a little bit better now. But so my schedule had always been moving around, and lately it's just been great. My sleep is much better, and all of that is just absolutely fantastic. So just to tell you a little bit more about the show, I mentioned briefly before, we are going to stream. Eventually, we're going to, for the first week, it's just going to be live for everybody, Facebook Live, and then archived at BillWhittle.com. But its permanent shape will be what our friends over at the Daily Caller are doing. Once again, that parasitical Andrew Klavan has stolen an idea from me before I even had time to think about it, or even have time to come up with it, for that matter. So we're going to do what they do because we're going to be working with them in promotions and so on. They've got a tremendous social promotion thing that they're doing. They're building. Look, if they can build an audience for Andrew Klavan, I think it really is just a slam dunk at this point, And please, if anybody knows him, please be sure to tell him I said that. But all of this stuff is really good. And then after the first week or so, once we get the thing down, we're going to have the first 10 minutes stream live to Facebook. The entire audio will go directly to SoundCloud as soon as we finish recording. From SoundCloud, it'll go to iTunes and other places where you can download it for a podcast. You can have it on your drive home every day. And our paying members, will be able to see the whole show 5 days a week for the entire duration. It's a watershed for us in a lot of different ways. It's on some level, it becomes the first real day of this not being essentially a mom and pop show. Now, Machine It says I'm doing it in the middle of Russia's show. I haven't advertised the time yet, Machine It, because I haven't completely got it, but I think it's probably going to be somewhere in there. The people I don't want to particularly compete with are the Daily Wire guys, since they're pushing our stuff out together. But I may go early on, and maybe I'll go late. Maybe I'll do the drive time. In any event, it will be daily, and that's the difference between what came before and what's coming after. Is it's actually daily content at the same time every day without fail. Is an actual business. It's an actual product. And if you'd like to buy this product, you can do it at BillWhittle.com and become a member. I think that for those of you who are members, the value of your membership is about to go way up, at least in terms of verbiage, because as everybody knows by now, I get paid by the ton. And if you're not a member, this would be a really good time to join, because this product is about to be improved significantly. So and I was pretty happy with what it was before. So just wanted to say again that it's our members that make not only the members only show possible, but all of the shows, the Stratosphere Lounge shows, all the firewalls, everything we do, including this new series, which I'm very, very proud of, called We the People V2.0. I finished Money, I finished Capitalism, and I'm just wrapping up Socialism. And we will premiere all three of those episodes of the new look and the new video, we will premiere those on the show live, and you'll be the first people to really see them wide. I'm so proud of these first 3, and I'd like to continue to keep doing. We have a contract for quite a few, but they're very, very labor intensive. So I'm going to see if we can't turn this into, right now, here's how it works right now. Right now, anything that we put out from Right Angle Backstage, which is the lowest of the low, probably the only show that's really, more poorly produced than the Stratosphere Lounge. But from Right Angle Backstage all the way up to the the Firewalls and the Turning Point USA, We the People V2.0 videos, all of those videos I have treated essentially as if they were a canvas, like an oil canvas. And I go in there and I have a rough idea what I want to do, and then I write it. And once I write it, I get in front of the green screen, shoot it. That's the easiest part by far. I get back in here, and then I start thinking about the supporting pictures on Firewall, and especially on these TPUSA videos. There's a lot of backup pictures there to try and make the story clearer. And then I put those pictures in by hand, and if I don't have what I need, by hand I cut out the character I need from the background in Photoshop, and it takes me an hour. And doing all of this stuff by hand, and then when it's finished, and I'm 1 o'clock in the morning ready to go home to be back again the next morning at 8:30. It's a completed canvas, but you can only paint so many canvases. It's going to turn into more of a factory. And we've got the staff now to help us out. We've got some really good people come on. The Daily Wire guys are going to handle all of the promotion and all of the marketing and just get it out there. So that's a big deal. And we have media managers now, and we have some second editors that are coming in, and it's freeing me up to actually do the work. So instead of me sitting there painting this thing canvas by canvas, touching everything from start to finish, I am going to be basically able to farm out this work to other people, and then I get to sort of look at it and say, yeah, that's not bad. Let's just pitch that thing out the door and get it going. So Claudia Strange, Florida, says, best membership I have ever been, totally comfortable paying for a lifetime. Claudia, you just don't know how much that means to me. Thank you very, very much for that comment in the comment stream, because it's been fun, the Stratosphere Lounge. And it's not going away, by the way, because this show that we're going to be doing is not going to be the Stratosphere Lounge. Stratosphere Lounge is a backstage show. We're going to be doing, now this isn't going to happen the first day. It may not happen the first week or two, but we're going to eventually be doing regular segments. There might be a regular flying segment a couple times, maybe once a week or so. We're going to do regular interviews. We're going to have on-stage guests coming in to talk that way. And we're going to feature little, clips from the pop culture or anything like that. If somebody's got a movie out, we want to talk about, we'll run the trailer. We can put all that out. And another thing I want to do, I've been wanting to do this forever. I wanted to do it forever. And it looks like now we'll be able to, not immediately, but hopefully within the first 2 weeks. I want to be able to take Skype calls from you guys. Skype calls live on the air from you guys, from the members or from the general public in the first 10 minutes. I want to be able to bring you in and chat, because the feedback loop here is really important. I get so much from meeting all you fine people when I get a chance to go out on the road and actually meet you guys. I've just been so impressed. It's amazing, and the work that. Just the kind of people that we seem to attract is extremely flattering, which of course you just simply cannot compare our audience to that half-washed, tattered, low-life rabble that seems to follow the Andrew Klavan show. It just doesn't. It's just it's quality versus quantity, and it's just I don't know. It's some people are shoveling money out for that dreck, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We might even get Andrew Klavan in here to do an interview or so. The way I see it is, if I do an interview on his show, that's worth 8 interviews on my show. So anyway, and once again, Tim Morris USA says, BillWhittle.com membership is my investment in the war of ideas. You guys are really, really pushing it here. It is a war of ideas, and we're going to find out, because it's been a war so far of a rearguard action. didn't realize it until I probably didn't realize it until after the election. But we've been fighting a rear guard action for the last 8 years. We've been taking pot shots over our shoulder, trying to slow them down, trying to just, keep the pressure on them in one way or another and keep, give the good guys a chance to get back and regroup. And now we are not going to be doing a rear guard action. Now I think we're going to be the armory, and I think we're going to be handing out these little truth grenades to these TPUSA kids who are really, really brave. We're going to have all kinds of forward-looking stuff. I spent so much time on these first three videos, the first three We the People version 2.0 videos, because I know this sounds a little vain, but I have a sense that they're going to have a lifetime out there. Something else I didn't really think about until very recently, but everything I've done, pretty much everything I've done so far, with a couple of exceptions, are fairly time-sensitive. They're fairly topical. So if I do something about Hillary and Benghazi, then it's a firewall about Hillary and Benghazi, and that would be great. But once that's over, it's over. I think the things that I've done on money, capitalism, and socialism are so simple and so clear and relatively short. 355, 420, and 450, something like that. That they may have a life out there. I mean, I don't know of anybody else who's doing this. I certainly don't know of anybody else who's doing it for the good guys. It's really just, here's what money is. Here's 3 minutes. Now you understand money. Great. Now let's talk about socialism. Now you know what's wrong with socialism. Now let's talk about capitalism and why capitalism not only makes more money for people, but why it's so morally superior to socialism. And it's awesome. And we're going to just keep going. We got government coming up, corporations, and a bunch of others. So all of that is made possible by the paying members here. And I really do think that with this daily show, it's where we're going to kind of get away from the PBS model, which is, me holding out my hat with the kitten eyes, looking at the lens, with, just like, please, won't you please help us stop these bastards. And it's going to turn into a lot more of a, hey, this is the best product on the internet right now. It really is. And this is a war of ideas, and we're going to be the shock troops. We're going to be the special forces. We're going to be flying top cover. We're going to be doing all the cool stuff. So I really think that this is the place to be in the time coming up. And so you could just get those credit cards out, and we'll be ready to get some progress and take some hills and storm some, We're not storming anything, by the way. We're not storming any battlements. We're not that stupid. We're going to go around. We're going to parachute into the rear. We're going to blow up an ammo dump over there. We're going to race over and speed, halo jump in someplace else, and we're going to make a bridge disappear. We're just going to be moving around really, really fast. So anyway, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. And I was so busy working, had a little meeting with Jeremy and those guys about marketing, and I went with my lovely fiancée to go look at lights and things like that. So I didn't have time to pull the questions again, which is, I think, kind of appropriate. I did this last week, and last week I was just like stress-pilled. Oh, my God. But now I think what I'm going to do is just read them in order. Stout Cat says, when did Clavin turn into Ned Flanders? Andrew Clavin isn't Ned Flanders. Andrew Clavin isn't nearly cool enough to be Ned Flanders. So in any event, hidely-ho. So here we go. We're going to just going to pitch them out there and see what happens. So in particular order as they're showing up on my web page now, let's start with Nicholas Mahaffey. Oh, by the way, I know I keep threatening to do a short show, but this one I got to be out of here by 7:15 because I have so much to do. So much cool stuff to do. So let's mark some time here. Nicholas McAfee writes, Bill, in the past few months, my friend and I have started a podcast that's begun to pick up steam. Your brand of conservatism is at the core of our show. Would you be willing to join us for an hour or so and have some laughs as we take on the important issues? Absolutely, I would. I'm not sure I could do an entire hour. It's possible. But I will absolutely do it under the conditions that you agree to do it in return, Nicholas. If you guys want to set it up, we can Skype in for half an hour, or maybe an hour. I don't know. God knows. Once I start talking, it's just clear the room. It's like watching a dam burst. But you absolutely have a deal, and be my pleasure to do it. And hopefully you guys would like to make an appearance on Bill Wood Alive, because we're all in this together, and the network just gets stronger. And by the way, guys, the left is in panic. Not only have I not seen them this scared, I didn't think it was possible for them to be this scared. And I read an excellent article. I cannot remember. Again, one of these things where it's like I read, 45, 50 articles a day, and I do not remember where this one came from. However, it was the article that said that the reason the left is so shocked and that they're doing literally everything they can, martial law, and we're gonna blow up the inauguration, all the rest of it, is because not just because they lost a political battle. That happens to them. At last happened to them on this scale, 8 years ago. So it's not that they lost a political battle. The article went on to point out, and if somebody remembers who wrote it, I'd be happy to credit them because it was great. They said that this is the first time in their lives, in our lives, in all of our lives, first time in modern history where we didn't listen to them, where we didn't listen to them. And they made plenty of videos telling us who to vote for, and we didn't do it. And then after the election was over and you and me and the rest of those knuckle-dragging savages decided to bolt off of the plantation, then they started telling us, well, you can stop it at the Electoral College. But we didn't listen to them. As a matter of fact, we've stopped listening to them. And we have really just begun to understand just how annoying and how shallow these people are. I remember the next day, the day after the election, I realized everything is different. Everything is different. I'd been thinking about things like the economic, recovery and, in our international standing, our military posture and all the rest of it. But culturally, they're done. I don't know whether that election night was Stalingrad or Midway or turning point in this cultural battle. But I do know for a certain fact that it's the beginning of what it is it's the Battle of Britain. At least it's the first defeat for people who have felt invincible and who we have often looked at as somewhat invincible. God knows all of us keep trying, and we were never going to stop. I was ready for 4 years of Hillary and 8 years of Hillary, but God has clay feet, and we hit them in the nose and they're bleeding, and that is really shocking to the elitist left. They thought that they had this one in the bag, and when I say had it in the bag, they had history in the bag. Many people have pointed out that the Democrats have been governing as if they would never lose another election. Well, guess what? Now, I don't know if the story is true. There's some stories about Hillary Clinton I absolutely believe. This one I suspect is true. But, she was reported to have said, if that son of a bitch is elected, we're all going to be swinging on ropes. So it's nice to scare the landed gentry every now and then. Maybe a revolution is just something that has to happen every couple hundred years. You just have to. I think the elites become so comfortable being elitists, and people are prosperous and they're doing well, and it's just kind of like looking at their feet. And this is a war of ideas. It absolutely is, and in this war of ideas, the Trump election was the revolution. It's the revolution. So why don't we start shooting at these people? It's fun to shoot at aristocrats. It would probably be fun to shoot at them in the real world. But when I say shoot at them now, I mean let's shoot at them rhetorically. Let's keep them running. They had a complete, utter disaster in 2016. And what they don't realize until now, and we don't realize, and they certainly haven't really sunk in on them yet, 2016 was a disaster for them, and 2014 was a disaster for them, and 2012 was a disaster, and 2010 and so on. So 2008 they did pretty well. So we got them on the run, and we got to keep up the pressure. So that's why this prepare to see the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station. There goes one of our awesome helpers, Neil's our media guy. You out of here? All right, we'll see you tomorrow morning. See ya. There goes 5 hours of my time a week at least. He's so good, and it's wonderful. So anyway, yeah, happy days are here again. So what that had to do with Nicholas's question, I don't know. But this is the kind of overarching, brilliant, insightful commentary that you're going to be seeing in the days and weeks to come. So, and by the way, Nicholas, I don't know if you know this by now, but I certainly make up in volume what I may lack in quality. So let's go to the next question, which is from Ian A. Little. What is it about Obama that makes him so perpetually likable to people on the left? I've known many people who have strong negative feelings towards Hillary and other Dems, but still hold up Obama as some kind of exalted statesman, some actually thinking that he's the best president of the modern age. Is Obama's glamour just so great that it eclipses all of the failures and scandals in his time to the left? And on a related note, do you think the Dems will be running Cory Booker as Obama clone in 2020? The great, you get the whole question in the first sentence there, Ian. What is it about Obama that makes him so perpetually likable to people on the left? You know, when he was elected in 2008, many people referred to him as the Messiah. Oprah did, and a bunch of other people. And you can remember all of those pictures of him photographed in such a way that he had a halo. And even from the beginning of his administration, I mean, the first couple weeks, a lot of us were thinking, this is not politics. This is more like religion. So to answer your question, Ian, the reason they still feel good about him is because he is, in fact, their Messiah. He is their Messiah. These are people who have no real understanding of how the world works. We did a right-angle show. I did one. It's not out yet, but it's coming out in the next day or two, on this business of these gun control people in New York City made an announcement. They've got a real step, finally, in controlling gun violence and reducing the murder rates in America's cities, because these people have seen to it through just endless nagging that Apple has removed the pistol emoji. If you're not familiar with emojis, when you text somebody, there's a little smiley face, and it opens up hundreds of little tiny little pictures that you can send for accent. It used to be just send you 2 dots and a parentheses for a smile. Well, now there's hundreds of these things, and one of them was a pistol, revolver, looked like a .38 to me. And they have replaced that now with a water gun, with a water pistol. So now that the pistol emoji, the .38 revolver, has been removed from the iPhones, I think we can begin to see the murder rate fall just precipitously as more and more and more of these people who've been committing these murders realize that murdering people is wrong and that it's a violation of their fundamental human dignity. And by the way, maybe they'll start reading about gun-free zones. That emoji story, because they're very proud of it, they were very, very proud of it, is connected to Obama in this way. It feels like an achievement, but it's just fantasy, and it's quite obvious fantasy. Ian, he is the Messiah for them in every way. So what do I mean by that? He's articulate when his teleprompter's articulate. Mine's articulate too. But I can do this for 3 hours off prompter, and I don't think I've ever heard him say anything that was off prompter that didn't sound like a stuttering idiot. And nothing against stuttering idiots. I didn't mean to insult you. So he represents everything that the left thinks that they are about, everything that they think they're champions of. They consider themselves to be the champions of civil rights, and it's the Democrats who've done so much for Black America. They have done a lot for Black America. They've committed Black America back to the plantation of vote plantation that they're on, and we simply don't have any way to measure how much worse race relations are now than they were before this Messiah light worker came down. But Ian, he represents everything that they want to believe in. He represents the idea that glamour is more important than toughness. He represents the idea that being able to speak well is more important than being able to think well. He's everything that they want. He's John F. Kennedy plus Martin Luther King rolled into one. He's a young president, and he's hip, and he's got a big smile, and he does the Ellen Show, and he does his little dance, and all the rest of it. So he is really a pop culture president, and all of the pop culture fell in love with him. I'm part of the pop culture. I didn't fall in love with him. I gave him a chance, but he didn't last very long. So when you ask the question, there's really two parts to the question. On the one hand, they love him because he makes so much of their wish fulfillment come true. That's a good place to go to for a minute. I've talked a little bit about this in the past, but not for a while. Wishful thinking is the kind of thing where, hey, you know what? It might go well. Maybe this thing will really break out, and who knows? Maybe we'll make a ton of money, and whatever wishful thinking is. It's kind of Wishful thinking is just sort of whistling a tune in your head and thinking, well, it's possible that these things could go very well. But they don't do wishful thinking, the progressives on the left. It's magical thinking. Magical thinking is very different. Magical thinking means that you can, in fact, think that something's going to happen if you want it badly enough. You just wish it into existence. And they have done that with him. He's scandal-free. What they mean by scandal-free is they haven't caught him in bed with anybody else yet. That's what they mean by scandal-free. I don't know where to start with this stuff. It's so obvious, Ian, but he's the president of the United States, so every scandal that involves the government is pretty much his scandal. I mean, let's take Fast and Furious, you know. I mean, we're going to give lots and lots and lots of powerful semi-automatic weapons to drug dealers in Mexico. What could possibly go wrong? Well, turns out a lot could go wrong, and a lot of people were killed, and a couple American border people were killed. And Obama said, I just found out about it now on the news. Really? Well, your Justice Department has been running this thing for a year now. So there's that. Look, we just do this all day, but the big golden one that nobody talks about, and just nobody talks about, is that, yes, Hillary Clinton catastrophically compromised our national security by having a private server. Absolutely true. And she cannot be trusted with national secrets and shouldn't be. And as it turns out, wasn't. But who do you think she was emailing from that private server? She wasn't ordering Domino's, at least not exclusively anyway. She was talking to the president on an unsecure server about State Department business, and everything about the emails and the national security leaks has been connected to Hillary Clinton because it's her server, but she spoke to the entire government up to and including the President of the United States of America. Whatever her handle was, HRC, 56 at, clintonfoundation.org, Barack Obama sent and received emails from that address. And anytime he conducted state business, anything regarding the job, and I don't think that Barack Obama and Hillary talk an awful lot socially in terms of, getting together and having a fun weekend. Anytime that Barack Obama spoke business with Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State on any server that's not .gov, it's a crime. It's a felony crime. You've committed a crime by doing this. All records must be returned at the end of your tenure, period. It's a felony. And if you try to destroy them, it's another felony, and that one's punishable by never being able to work in the federal government again. And people are saying, well, that might not be constitutional. Well, then you should have decided if it's constitutional enough before you made the law. Sounds like a reasonable law to me. If it turns out that you're just cavalier with these secrets that not only cost us security and money and soldiers, it costs actual lives. People die as a result of this. People have died because of her laxity, and more are going to die. Actual people with real names. So Barack Obama was part of that. Barack Obama was Benghazi. He was standing there watching Benghazi happen on television screens. And he is the president. Somebody told the rescue helicopters to stand down. And it wasn't stand down in kind of like the movie kind of way, like stand down, soldier. It was a genuine stand down order. Helicopters were up, rotors were at operational RPM. The guys were ready to go. They were fueled, they were loaded, they were in the helicopters ready to go when somebody said, no, you're not going. It's not like they sat there waiting for an order to go rescue them that never arrived. That alone would be pretty awful, very awful. It's much worse than that. These people who were going to go and rescue our ambassador and those three other brave men, they were in the vehicle ready to go. And they said, no, turn it off. Go back to your barracks. First of all, what does that say? Forget about just those 10 operators or 8 or whatever, a crew of one helicopter. There were more than that, undoubtedly. There's probably 50, 60 people involved. But forget about what it says to them, because we know what it says to them. We know that many of these brave, tough men went inside and cried over this because of frustration, not out of fear or sadness, out of just sheer raw frustration that the thing that they've trained their entire lives to do, which is go out and save American lives, has had the rug pulled out from it because of a president's got an election coming up. But what signal does it send to the rest of the military when we don't go? What does it send to the rest of the people in the State Department? What does it tell our CIA people who are overseas? What does it tell anybody who works for this government in any fashion whatsoever overseas? What does it say when we don't send the rescue helicopters? It says that as long as things are cool, we're cool. But if you get into trouble, you're on your own. That's pretty much it. I'll tell you a quick little story that I heard from the source, which is, for me, kind of like sitting at the base of Mount Olympus and having Zeus throw lightning bolts right at you. Most of you know by now I've got to be pretty good friends with Burt Rutan, and much later, just 2 summers ago, did I get to meet Dick Rutan, who was the first man to fly around the world in Voyager 1 unrefueled. Dick has got all kinds of records for, he flew the Easy rocket. He's one of these, Dick Rutan is one of these absolutely golden aviators. He's just a fighter pilot. He flew F-100s in Vietnam. I think his call sign was Killer. I'm not sure. Killer or Shooter, something like that. Something awesome. And as we know here from your friend Skid, these names are usually designed to be kind of poking fun at you. So if somebody's call sign is Killer, you got to figure that's a pretty good guy. So here's what basically happened. Dick Rutan was flying a combat mission in Vietnam. Somebody went down. A pilot had to eject, and he ejected down into the canopy of the jungle. And they got him. The pilot who's ejected is on his little personal radio, and he's giving them the location, and they're going to come and rescue him. And that's what you do. So they send the rescue helicopters out, and Dick is up there flying top cover up high. Well, probably not that high, 6,000, 7,000, something like that. Just making sure that everything's cool. The rescue helicopters go in. They start taking pretty heavy ground fire, and then so the rescue helicopters come out. And Dick said, well, what are we going to do? Well, how are we going to soften it up first? And they said, no, we're not going to go in. It's too risky. We're not going to go after that guy. And Dick Rutan on the radio said, what? So we're not going to rescue him. We're going to call the rescue attempt off. And Dick Rutan said, all right, but you call the goddamn general who made that order, and you ask him what I'm supposed to say to this guy. You ask him what I'm supposed to tell this fellow aviator who's risked his life for his country. You tell me, have that general who made the decision say the words that I'm going to say to this guy who's down in the canopy, because I think this is just utter bullshit. That's it. And when Dick started telling the story, he was about as mad as he was when it actually happened to him. But then he went on to the real coda, you know. He basically said, look, we have a deal. It's true for pilots, and I'm sure it's true for everybody else, certainly true for fighter pilots. We have a deal, and here's the deal. I'm going to go out there and risk my life every day on your orders, and I'm going to go places that you tell me to, and it's going to be dangerous. So the deal is I'm willing to do this for you, but in exchange for this, if I get in trouble, if I'm killed, I'm killed. But if I'm captured or caught or about to be captured and caught, I expect you to do everything within your power to get me out of there. That's the deal. That's the deal. And I think on some level, every single person who joins the military understands this, and certainly the combat troops do, and most especially the special forces guys do. They know that if they get in trouble, we're going to come. And we're going to come shooting. And it doesn't matter if we get there in time or not. Obviously, it matters to those people on the ground, obviously. But it doesn't matter. What matters is you go. What matters is you live up to your end of the bargain. What matters is you basically say, look, the math doesn't make any sense, and this is why the left is the left, right? Because everything for them is a political equation. Barack Obama had an election coming up, and he justified it, no doubt, by saying, we're just going to lose another 10 guys. And they wouldn't have gotten there in time. Well, how do you know? Turns out these guys fought for 6 hours. How do you know? They would have gotten there in time, as a matter of fact. And here's the calculation that people on the left do, people who don't understand anything about the military at all. They basically say, hey, look, if it was easy or even moderately easy to go in there and get them out, we'd get them out. But if we try to get this one guy out, we may lose it. We may lose 10 guys or 15, 20 guys may be killed trying to get him out. And my response to that is, okay, how many guys do we have to kill in order to get him out? What is it going to take to get this individual back? Because he's a priceless individual, and the people that sign up for the military would rather die rescuing a pilot, I think, than be told to go home. And I know this is true. because he told me about a helicopter pilot who volunteered for it. He just basically just went out and started it up and flew out there. And he hovered low over the canopy, and he was taking all kinds of rounds. And he had a rope down, and he could see the downed pilot down there. And he sees the pilot grab the basket. Basically, he's about to come up, and he gets a little bit off the ground. I may be mangling this just a little bit, but this is the guts of it. And they're about to extract him, and by now the helicopter is taking so many hits, it's just a sieve. And the guy down on the ground, the down pilot, is saying, cut me loose, cut me loose, cut me loose. And it sounds so heroic. And they got back, they got him out, got back to base, and he's in the hospital recovering and all the rest of it. And somebody said, hey, man, it was really brave of you to say, cut me loose, it's really pretty cool. The guy said, I didn't do it to be a hero. I did it because so many pieces of the helicopter were coming down and landing on me, I thought I was going to be killed. I thought either one of these big chunks that they've just shot off is going to kill me, or the helicopter is going to come down on top of me. That's why I said, cut me loose. So there you go. Yeah, so this is a kind of a long round way to say scandal-free. He's responsible for all the scandals, and I think probably of all the scandals that he's most responsible for, I think I would say the biggest scandal of Barack Obama is his unwillingness to face any consequences at all whatsoever. He will not face the consequences. I'm not asking him to admit he was wrong, but I am asking him to say he's responsible. When he says that, I found out about the IRS weaponized against conservatives. I found about it on the news. What about Fast and Furious? Yeah, I just heard about that from a newspaper. What about Benghazi? Yeah, well, it was based on a movie or something. It's just perpetually lying because he will not take responsibility. He is, as we've said from day one, and my God, this is it. This is the last time I'm going to say this on the Stratosphere Lounge while he's president. I don't think he's going anywhere, by the way. I think he's going to stick around and make sure he doesn't get completely washed off the stage. And the more he does that, the better I like it, because he's just going to trash himself even further. But he is a pathological narcissist. And that means that it's one thing to be a narcissist, and I ought to know. But to be a pathological narcissist means that that you are incapable. That's the pathological part. You are incapable of it. You just don't have it. And Barack Obama has never had to accept responsibility for anything. As a matter of fact, if you look at his entire life and career, Barack Obama's career consists of taking credit for things that he hasn't done and then learning how to be quiet about it. One of the strange little tiny breakthroughs thoughts that I had, it's one of these little things that don't have a whole lot of significance but tickle me quite a bit, was I was wondering about the big, just a giant paradox that I couldn't figure out. He's made the president of the Harvard Law Review. My contention is that he doesn't deserve to be president of the Harvard Law Review because he's not that smart. But Harvard makes him the president of the Law Review. Now they've got a young black man who's the head of the Harvard Law Department. Look at how virtuous Harvard Law School is. But the part I couldn't fathom, I could understand why they want him for a figurehead. The part I couldn't fathom was why didn't they publish any of his legal briefs? He didn't do a single legal review, not one, during the entire time he was president of Law Review. That's a president's job. He was chosen because he's the best legal mind, and his job is to make these reviews. But Obama never had one published, not ever. And I was saying to myself, why? Was he so busy doing the PR? Was he out there doing something? And then it just hit me like so obvious to me. Of course he wrote reviews. Of course he did. They were unpublishable. He wrote law reviews as the president of Harvard Law, and the reason that none of them were published, and you can't find one of them today, is not because they weren't done, in my opinion, I'm guessing here, but because they were so obviously subpar that anybody reading it would realize what Harvard has done and why. If somebody says that he's the greatest president of the last 50 years or anything, just ask him what he's accomplished. We can do this very quickly. What has he accomplished? The only thing that he's accomplished politically is Obamacare. That's the only thing he's done. Obamacare has fallen apart before he even leaves office. It's disintegrating. Everybody in the country had their insurance rates triple and their deductibles go up by a factor of 10. So that's his actual legacy. What else is it? What else has he accomplished? I could just wait. What else has he accomplished? Are we stronger internationally than we were before? No. People used to laugh behind our backs. Now they laugh right in our faces. Is the Middle East more secure? No. The Middle East was actually secure when he came into the building, but now it's a bigger mess than it's ever been. Is our military stronger than it was? Our military is noticeably degraded. And forget about the lack of hardware, because when we think about the military, we think about spending, we think about aircraft carriers and buying jets and all the rest of it, and there's plenty of that boondoggle going on too. But the main thing he's done to irreparably damage the military is he's issued a series of executive commands as commander-in-chief that have made it not only unpleasant but untenable for warriors to remain in the military. He's made it so inconsistent with their personal honor that huge numbers of people who would have retired much later just got out. They got out because they couldn't take it. They couldn't take it. I told you the story about this guy who was commanding a Green Beret regiment. I want to say it was a regiment, and he said one day he was supposed to be training his men. They said, no training for you. You've got to come in here. And today, instead of going out there and training these guys, you have to ask them if they have any firearms at home, and if so, what kind and how many. And this major just looked up and said, sir, I refuse to obey that order. I'm not going to obey it. And when you make a statement like that, you realize that means your career is over. It's pretty much over. It turns out that it got overlooked, but he didn't stay much longer after that. He didn't stay. He just decided to leave as soon as he can. And I hear this all the time. I read stories from chief petty officers who say that, liberty used to be liberty because it was liberty. You could go, you spend 6 months in a steel, tub out there under water or under the water line anyway. 6 months. And finally you pull into Singapore or Hong Kong, or you pull into someplace like that, and you want to have some time off. But you can't do that anymore. It's not like, we've just docked. You guys can take off now. It's Thursday night at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, evening, and the ship sails on Monday morning at 0600, so you better be here. And what you do between those two things was nobody else's business. That's why, drunk as a drunken sailor means something, because these people had to party enough to get them through the next 6 months of being sequestered from the rest of humanity. Now we find out, I think this is a bigger embarrassment than the F-35 program. It's not more expensive, but it's bigger. Now we find out that these grown men who've agreed, and women, who've agreed to risk their lives for this country are not going to be treated like adults. They don't have, sorry to interrupt, but it might have been a battalion, as our friend Wild Goose is pointing out. If he was a major, he's probably commanding a battalion. Anyway, I like to get that right even if I don't get it right. So what happened, he said, is now there is a list of pre-approved places where we can stay, pre-approved hotels that we can stay. We never had to do that before. And there are places where we're allowed to go and places where we're not allowed to go. And we're required to check in every 6 hours or 8 hours or something like that. In other words, you're treated like a little child. And why? Why would you stay if you take away the only things that really make it bearable? He has purged the military of everybody who, well, not everybody, needless to say, there's still many, many people in there. But he has purged so many people, not by just cashiering them, but by making the environment so toxic to warrior values. It's so embarrassing that they're just gone. Bert Rutan was telling me about a general he heard talk who said he was so proud of the fact that his Air Force base was the greenest Air Force base in the entire U.S. military. Nothing about the readiness, it's just the greenest one. And the worst of this, the worst is that the experience that these men and women had is priceless. And I mean priceless. They left with priceless experience. They left with combat-hardened experience that we just do not and shouldn't have to pay for again. Paid for at large time a large hunk of money, but mostly we paid for it in lives. We learned how to do things like IEDs because we had to learn how to do it. And the people that learned how to do it are then forced to leave the military after you acquire that kind of experience. These people should have been promoted to the absolute limits of their abilities, and then they should have been able to instruct everybody else on what happens in actual combat. But no, these people were just basically just spit out. It's a catastrophe. So again, ask your friends, what did he actually accomplish? His only political achievement is Obamacare. What else did he do? Nothing. Obamacare is falling apart, and everybody hates it. So it's not like the Republicans are going to go in there and destroy a popular program. The program has failed. It failed from the beginning. What else has he done? Again, our foreign relations are much worse. Race relations are infinitely worse. Our economy has been as sluggish as it's ever been in our history, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. He's gone golfing. That's what he's done. So just dare them. Ask them. Ronald Reagan forced the Soviet Union to collapse. He outspent them. He figured out, we can outfight these guys. They got lots and lots of tanks, though. And our people are very precious. Or we can start on the Star Wars program, which they can't keep up with. They don't have the technology, and we'll end up spending 5% of GDP on it, and the Russians will spend 30% of GDP, and that's not sustainable. He basically bankrupted them. They knew they couldn't go there. They had to open up in order to compete with America, and that opening up was the death knell for the Soviets. So Ronald Reagan won the Cold War. Ronald Reagan made the 80s a period of astonishing economic growth. What has he done? He's not done anything. And by the way, the real limits, as I started the show with, the real limits of how bad Obama is will be seen in the first year of the Trump presidency by his absence. He will, in fact, of course, take credit for all of it. If only all these policies that I started in 2008 are finally coming to fruition. That's why we have 7% economic growth, because my policies have finally come to fruition. It's got nothing to do with the fact that this new president's just eliminated all these regulations and employees and taxes. So, Edward Smith, says, I wonder if the armed forces will pay bonuses if they return. I've said this before, too. If I was Donald Trump, I would publicly say, with Mattis at my side, if you've been forced out of the military because it was so antithetical to your warrior ethics, anybody with combat experience, we will take back and we will pay you what you would have earned in the interim period. Not just a bonus, not just here's a $1,000 bonus. If you left 4 years ago and you were making $30,000 a year, that's $120,000. That's what we'll give you to come back. Cheap. That's cheap for what we learned and what these guys have. So he's somebody at 608 keeps saying he's a welfare president. And he kind of is. He shows up. That's what he does. He shows up and smiles. And he's tall and he's slim and he wears nice suits and the liberals just fall down because they have no reality to base any of this on. They don't care about the fact that he's gutted the military. What the hell do we need a military for? We don't need a military. We're completely free. No one's attacking us. What do we need a military for? That's how they think. It's just how they think. Rich, I just scrolled past it. He said, good officers won't need to be bribed. I don't consider it a bribe, Rich. Paying people for the time they missed, I don't consider that a bribe at all. I think it's the opposite of a bribe. I'm saying this is something that you earn. Bribe is something you give to somebody to get something you want. This is saying this is what you would have made if you'd stayed here, and you should have stayed here. And this was a mistake on our part, and we're going to rectify it. And if we have to buy two fewer F-35s, then there you go. All right, so we're running out of time here, so I really do have to get a lot of stuff done tonight, but let's see if we can do one more here. A lot of questions about Obama being the best president in history, so we just kind of say we just took care of that. That's a good thing to go with here. We're going to end up tonight. Wow, it's a long question. Bob Knife, take 3. Apparently you've been asking this a couple times, Bob. Bob writes what appears to be an extremely complex and interesting and informative paragraph, but the first sentence is the setup, and he says, I'm thinking through the following stream of consciousness, thinking about what to do as Americans going forward. Now, Bob, I'm not going to be able to read that because it's just not something that's very entertaining to people. But I would like to discuss the stream of consciousness going forward, and I'll read your comment in great detail once we get off the air here. I think you can sum up the big picture of what we have to do in 2017 this way. If we do not take full advantage of this opportunity to remake the structures of this country back into what they were, then this is in fact a one-off, and we will not see the like of it again. We were not going to get a second chance. We have to do something to restore Americans. We have to reintroduce Americans to America, or we will lose. Despite the fact that Hillary Clinton lost and Donald Trump won, more and more and more and more people are becoming socialists every day. We have to get in there, and we have to change the course of the country. It's an opportunity that we cannot squander, and that's why all of this stuff is more important now than ever. It's important because if we do what we usually do, which is, hey, we won, we can relax, then I don't know that we're ever going to win again. We've got to restore the credibility of all of these departments, the IRS, the Justice Department, State Department. They need to be cleaned out and replaced with people who are answerable to the people of this country, not to a political party or whatever donations they can make. That's what I think needs to happen in terms of going forward. Is we have to reassemble the structure. I'm not interested so much in individual acts so much as I'm not interested, in other words, if there's a piece of legislation concerning the Justice Department. I'm concerned about cleaning out the Justice Department of anybody who compromised their personal honor as a result of political pressure or as a result of political gain. Pretty simple, really. That's what I would do. And it's really going to be interesting, and we're going to find out pretty quickly. I think there is an excellent sign in Donald Trump's cabinet appointees. The big debate, and I've heard many people just say this out loud, is this. Is Donald Trump going to run the country himself, or is he going to let his cabinet run the country? And that's not a derogative thing, the second option. And if you look at the choices that he's made, if he's going to run the country, if he was determined to micromanage everything, and he does not have a history of that, then the people he would have chosen for Defense Department head and all the rest of them would be nothing burgers, right? You don't want somebody strong. You're going to do it all yourself. You want somebody to say, yes, sir, and then just follow your wishes. But with Mattis and the people with the EPA, people at HUD, all of them, every single person, it seems to me nearly every person that he's appointed, are people who are going to go in there and do what needs to get done. I find that an incredibly optimistic read on things. Incredibly optimistic. So we're going to find out. The first year is going to do it one way or another. But I think this country has an amazing opportunity, and for God's sake, if we fall asleep on this one, I just don't know what we'll do. And it's about time for me to go, but so many people have been saying Manning. I do not remember his first name. I heard it earlier. There's a guy named, he's a guy named Chelsea Manning, who leaked an awful lot of big national security secrets and was given a 35, 40-year sentence, something like that. He's been pardoned by Barack Obama. His sentence has been commuted. He'll be out in May after 6 years, 7 years instead of the 35 additional years. If you combine the clemency for Manning with what appears to be Hillary Clinton losing the election, but at least walking off into her own mansion someplace to stew rather than stewing in federal prison, forget about the injustice of it. We're practical people. An injustice is an injustice. But what's the practical effect? The practical effect is, how are we ever going to prosecute anybody for security leaks? It was Bradley Manning. Thank you very much, Silent Gloves. How? How are we going to enforce it? In other words, if the entire reason that people keep national security secrets secret, because among the other things, that many of them, most of them are patriots, but the kind of people that aren't have to understand, and they do, it's pretty clear about this when they get you the clearance, that if you are reckless with these, or certainly if you are, you're just a spy, you just want to give them away, or you want to sell them for money, you are going to pay a very severe price for this. Except now you're not, right? Now somebody can say, hey, the chance of me getting pardoned is pretty good. It's all because Bradley Manning identifies as Chelsea Manning. That's why he got the sentence commuted. It's a no-brainer. It's another one of these. It's the pardoning, commuting the sentence for Bradley Manning is very much like lighting up the White House in the rainbow colors. It's a way of showing how sensitive we are to the needs of this poor special individual, the delicate needs of this poor special person. We can't. It's one thing to lock up a guy, but you can't lock up a woman for 40 years. I try to keep this clear. I've discussed it a few times before. I don't particularly have an axe to grind against a person who's a transsexual who wants to be identified as somebody of the different gender. I generally don't care. If it makes them feel happy, fine. It's no skin off my nose, and I really don't care. That's what getting along with people is. If in a republic, if you want to do that, and you're not infringing on me, you're not coercing me, then okay, whatever. I can either call you Chelsea or Bradley or sir or ma'am as I choose. But when every single news agency refers to it as she did this, she had an intelligence leak, she was found guilty, she was sentenced to, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go there. I'm just not going to go there. It's now you're asking me to defy reality, and you're asking me to rewrite the past because of your sensitive feelings. Whatever you want to say about Chelsea Bradley Manning today, at the time of these lapses for which he became famous and for which he is in prison, he was a he, and that's the way it is. And so I think I saw one of these SJW collections. If you go to YouTube and just search for SJW, you're going to find 40 different installments of social justice warriors having these meltdowns. And one of them I'll never forget. I'll never forget as long as I live. It was a flash. It was a 2-3 second segment out of scores of different people, all these social justice warriors. But this was a man who basically said, I just want to bleed over anybody who says that I cannot have a period just because I'm born male. Okay. Now, look, you can do anything you want to in this country, and that's why I like it here. That's why I fight for your ability to do anything you want to. You can dress up as a unicorn. You can do all this stuff. That's fine. But if you are going to deny reality, then people who have to live in reality, you're forcing us to make a stand. You're forcing us. Like I said, I don't care. But if you're telling me, and so since Chelsea Manning wants to be identified as a woman, you have to call her she. No, I don't. No, I don't. I do not. It's a courtesy that I would extend, and I'm willing to extend to most everybody, but not to people like this, not to traitors, and not to people who willingly sell out this country and its country's secrets. It doesn't matter if it was stuff that should have been leaked or not. It's compromising actual people, and it sets up so many downstream opportunities for other people to do it. Stout Cat just came in and said, talk about magical thinking. That's exactly correct. Yes, that's exactly what it is. The left thinks that if we say it and believe it, then it becomes true. If you believe enough that you're a woman, then you're a woman. And we're going to call you she. And you will do it. I won't do it. Again, just so the point is clear, It's courtesy I'm willing to extend to just about everybody, the same way I call anybody sir. If I don't know them, it's a sir or a ma'am. If it's a 17-year-old kid at the drive-thru at McDonald's and he says, "Did you want fries with that?" I'll say, "No, sir, thank you." It's just a respect that I give to everybody, and certainly I'm willing to do that for transsexuals, and that's fine. And I don't care, and it's not something I'm an activist about, and I'm not launching a jihad against them. I don't care. But when they ask me to say something when they ask me to believe something that simply isn't true, that's where I get off the boat. No, not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. When Bruce Jenner is named Woman of the Year for his courage, I don't know. It's just, you know what it is? It's the virtue signaling again. It's the left trying so hard, just hammering it, just like hammering it. See, I don't care what you think, you reality-loving conservatives. We are going to force you to be thinking in the same magical fashion as we are. That's really it, right? We think magically, and we believe if we believe something hard enough, it will happen. And you don't. You keep referring to this reality and the real world and experiments and DNA and all the rest of it. But we're going to force you to understand that you're wrong, that if you do think about it long enough, it becomes true. This is, in fact, the exact same. This is the plot of 1984. The genius, so much genius in 1984, but the thing that is so heartrending and at the same time makes the whole world of 1984 so plausible is not that Big Brother wins over Winston Smith. It's not that the powerful state defeats the individual. That would be, tragedy, but it would be a recoverable tragedy. It means keep fighting. The reason 1984 is so blood-curdling is because before they kill Winston Smith, they make sure that he loves Big Brother. They make him love it. He has to love it. And he doesn't, see, that's the thing. He's not pretending to love it. At the end of that book, Winston Smith is not saying that he loves Big Brother because it's going to go easier on him. He really does. This person that's had him terrorized and is going to kill him, the state, he does love the state. He does. They did it. They beat it into him. They conditioned it into him. They just beat it into him. There's a scene that's so illuminating there where he's being tortured and says, what is 2 and 2? And he says 4. And he keeps getting asked, no, what is it? He says 4. And then I think it was wasn't Richard Burton. No, it's not. Okay, it's 5. It's 5. No, now you're just saying that just to make me happy. What's 2 and 2? And finally, after all this torture, he says, I don't know. And then the torture stops. He says, That's the answer we're looking for. That's the answer we're looking for. What is 2 plus 2? It's what we say it is. It's what we say it is. And if it used to equal 4 and we want it to equal 5, then it will equal 5. Any other questions? So there it is. I'd love to keep going, but I have to set up some stuff, keep these videos coming out the door, and I don't know exactly yet. And it's like almost like the first season of The Simpsons, or even maybe the second. You don't really know what it's going to be yet. It's the voices aren't right and the animation's not right. It finally settles into a groove, and certainly BWL is going to be like that. We're going to have to figure out what it is. But it's not the Stratosphere Lounge. It's going to be different, and I've got to keep that in mind. As I say, the thing I like best about this show is this backstage sense that, we're just talking to friends, and it's how I feel. I really genuinely feel that way. So we're going to find out on Friday, and I suspect, as I say, the first show is going to be dead simple. It may be this. On Friday, it may be me sitting here. I like to think I'll at least be sitting someplace else. But in any event, it's going to be a watershed for this company and for me personally, and hopefully for you as well. It's needless to say, very flattering that people would just want to come in and listen at all. And I think if we're talking about the story of the news today, while it's still a story, it might be of some interest to people who are trying to find some perspective or trying to win the water cooler wars and I weigh on it 2 weeks or 3 weeks later. I want to get some perspective on it instantly, because the left is going to go absolutely nuts. They're already going nuts. You ain't seen nothing yet. It's going to be an endless, constant attack on everything that this country stands for. They want to smash it all up, and because they didn't get their way. So we're going to have a lot of work to do, and we're going to have a lot to talk about, and I'll be there, and I want to thank all of you for being there too. It's been 142 episodes, and much longer. We missed quite a bunch, but it's been 142 episodes where we had to say President Obama, President Obama, President Obama. And next time we do the Stratosphere Lounge, we will have to say that. It'll be Mr. Obama, citizen, maybe. So there you go. I'm very proud of the work that we've done here, and I continue to be proud of it. I get more proud of it every day. But the thing I'm most proud of, by far, is the quality of the people that have done me the honor of listening to what I'm saying, and I feel like every one of you are friends of mine. The comments we get on Facebook and here are incredible, and the things that people do for me. Sometimes people just send me things, buy me things. They hear me say something, or I'm a Star Trek fan, and they send me a little Captain Kirk figurine, and it's unbelievable. It really is. I think we have the best people on the planet. So maybe we should stick together and see if we can't get some territory won. But he's done. We're done having to listen to this nonsense from him as president. We're going to find out what's going to be happening, but it's a brave new world, and we have to take advantage of this opportunity. And if we don't, we're going to be, I don't know how we're going to explain that to when we go to the halls of our fathers, in whose mighty company we are not fit to stand. Anyway, that's it for relatively brief 142nd episode of the Stratosphere Lounge, concluding now after 3 or 4 years or longer as a rearguard opponent against Barack Obama, his administration, all of his cronies, and all of his scandals, and all of his there's really not much to the guy, is there? So next time we're starting with a new page, and we're going forward, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be different, and there'll still be plenty of things to throw sticks and arrows at. But it'll be very, very nice, I think, to come back on next Wednesday, presumably, and say, all right, here we go. And Dave Big Booty is correct for me to mention that Gene Cernan has headed west, the last man to walk on the moon. He's not the last of the Apollo astronauts. There's still a few left. In fact, our friend, the keeper of the gates of the Stratosphere Lounge, Mr. Eisenfire, who is an absolute genius and knows the answer to everything, told me about, texted me that Gene Cernan had died, and I said, yeah, they're getting pretty scarce, huh? And he wrote me back with all this information. So 6 are left. 12 walked on the moon. We're down to half now. 12. And the ones still surviving are Charlie Duke, Harrison Schmitt, John Young. John Young, it's a miracle he's alive. He's almost 90. David Scott, Alan Bean, Buzz Aldrin. Can I do? I want to see if I can get these missions. Harrison Schmitt was definitely Apollo. Oh, it's listed right there. I was pretty sure I could tell which mission they were on, but it's listed there, so that'd be kind of cheating. All right, I'm out of here. I'm going to get some stuff done. I'm going to open up some boxes. We're going to get wallpaper tomorrow. Won't be in place on Friday, but on Friday, if I'm sitting in a pile of boxes, we're going to be there on Friday. We're not doing this one on build time. Do it in real time. And we'll have to have our Stratocon once we get this thing rolling. Probably do it in Tampa so I can fly down there with my Air Force buddies and give them a few pointers on formation flying. That'll do it. So everybody out there who's been with us for a long time, for a short time, it's been an honor. We're not finished yet. We're just getting started. And if you're relatively new, it's an amazing, special crowd, and the Strata Loungers are the best people I've ever met. And we're going to do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things. All right, so I think that'll be it. On behalf of all of us here at build.com, which is mostly me right now, thank you very much for your membership. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you especially for your kind words and your acts of kindness. It meant so much to me over these last horrible 8 years. And now we're going to find out what happens when we pivot and start marching forward. And I have a very good feeling about this. So we will see you next Wednesday. Take care now.